Hello, everybody. Welcome to Atomic Mass Transmissions live from our homes, where it's safe and sound and very, very quiet today. Actually, it's very quiet. They finally quit the construction in the apartment next door to me, so that's awesome. And the guy decided to mow his lawn at 12:40. Fortunately, he has a tiny little front lawn, so he was done mowing. So that's great. Welcome. And today is CP10. So let's talk about spiders, let's talk about web warriors, and let's get to painting, because I'm going to do them both. Maybe not all today, but we're going to work on them. So let's just go ahead and get stuck in. I got to switch to the camera like so. Boom. So there he is, one Mr. Spider-Man, aka Miles Morales. Because we're using made up names. So I'm just going to get stuck in. I have a wet palette, and in my wet palette I've collected a whole bunch of paints. So I'm just going to go. I'm just going to do it. So I believe this is Holger Blue. There's so many questions going on. So many questions. I see Schick is already answering them too. Why prime Miles white and not black? He's not prime white. He's prime zenithal, so he's black and white. The best of both worlds. And I'm using that. I use that because I can see his definition and volume. So volume is very important. When painting miniatures, you want to understand the volume and stuff like that. And this also allows me to, what you're going to see is I'm going to glaze. And by having white, I'm going to glaze and I'm going to get highlights. So it's pretty cool. So I'm going to start with this Holger Blue. Yeah, this guy was delayed, and for very good reasons. We got the first shot in, and we were not happy with it. So, you know, we took it back. We went in there and punched everything up again and ran it back through, and that's what we did, and it was the right choice. Chewy, I'm explaining right now. You know, plastic production takes a long time. It's a very long process. Plastic production is, and so when you redo the molds, you know, that takes a while. So that's what we did. We did not like the way it came out, so we fixed it, and we made it the way we wanted it and the way we liked it. It's one thing we do. We don't like to rush stuff. We want to get the best we can, and to the best of our abilities or knowledge at the time, right? Because we're always going to get better and we're always going to improve. That's inevitable. Especially with the philosophy of the studio. Like, every person in the studio is very much about pushing and striving and being better. So we're always going to give it our, maximum effort, for lack of a better phrase immediately off the top of my head. We want to provide people with compelling miniatures that we're proud of. And we got our, like I said, we got our first shots of Miles and Gwen, and we thought this could just be better, so we took the time and we made it better. So that's what we did. Fall Blood, they're not in 15 million pieces. Actually, I showed it off. I showed off the frames a while back. So you know exactly how many pieces they're in. Miles is in 4. And we're always gonna and is that gonna be the case with every single miniature? No. That's it's just not. I don't understand the joke, Fallout. Sorry, that's why I explained. Like, is every single miniature going to be able to be 4 pieces? No. But we try not to do anything that's not for a reason. There's always a reason, and those reasons might not always be clear by just looking at the miniature. Like, you know, we can take a miniature and we can look at it and we can be like, oh, well, this is probably going to be this, and then we put it into the giant fancy mega computer and look at the actual engineering, and we're like, oh, well, actually what we can do is this. So it's a very cool process and a very intense process. And you, no matter how many miniatures you built or sculpted or engineered, they always still surprise you. They always still surprise you. They're their own little riddle. So am I a little out of focus? I'm gonna try to get that in just a little bit better there. Yeah, and we're always improving. We're always Chewy. We're always gonna push to improve it. And the number of pieces are always going to vary, right? It's a lot of, you know, you put a shoulder pad on upside down. That's why we fit twice and we glue once. What's the game plan with this undercoat? So the black and white gives me volume. I can see the volume. So I'm going to do a blue first. The blue is going to create my highlight, and then I'm going to go black over top of it and leave a little bit of the blue showing. And that's just going to create my highlight. So I'm going to let that dry. Yoink. And I'm going to switch over to Ghost Spider. So once again, I got just a bunch of colors on my wet palette, so I'm just kind of playing by ear here. And looks like I got what's it called? Sandy something. So once again, I got the white undercoat and black undercoat. This is for volume, creating that volume to give me some guidance. And if I can paint very thinly and I can maintain some of that if I want. Mainly it's for glazing techniques and such. I'm going to kind of ignore it on this, and I'm going to go with a more traditional paint to some extent. But if you watch, I'm going to leave just a little bit of that shadow showing to indicate where I'm going to put my deep shadows. So this, what I'm doing is I'm just putting a very thin layer of this off-white over my white because I don't want it pure white. Pure white is for final highlights only. You want a nice medium middle. Plus our costume isn't necessarily pure white. I just want some of that depth of color here, so I'm going to bring that in. I need my reference. Actually, her legs are black, so I'm painting pointlessness. It's fine. So this is just going to be my off-white. When you're painting white, you don't really want to go with just your pure titanium white. It's much better if you start with a mid-tone white and then you leave the pure white for your highlights. And you can go down into like grays or blues for the shadows. Gives you more depth to your painting, more life. What am I using for? I'm using her character card for reference. Sorry, that's all I got. Just some of this off-white. This is like a, I can't remember her name, it's Sandy something. Dusty Sands, I think. It's a scale 75 color. And then I mixed a little bit of gray that was on my wet palette in there too. And that kind of desaturates it a bit. Gives it a better look. Okay, so I think that is, oh, it's these are white. She's got these little designs come over her hips. Those are white. Can't wait to see Green Goblin's card. Green Goblin has a really awesome power set. I like Green Goblin a lot. Dizard, what's the possibility of seeing that Spider-Foe affiliation card? You know, that's a Josh question. You ask Josh that question, not Dallas that question. I might actually have those paper products. You don't know. Typically it is well, but that doesn't mean I don't sometimes have stuff. So I'm putting this little bit of Miskatonic gray into the shadows here. Josh is here. Josh is in the chat. What if I'm just teasing that I actually have them, Chick? Everybody's always about busting chops. did forget her mask, so I need a little bit of that off-white in the mask. Good. Very simple. I just want to make sure I get all custom. Alright, you know what? Let's go ahead and throw the black on there as well. Oh, and this is going to be black. And I'm just going to glaze that over, making sure it's thin so that white and black primer kind of comes through. See how that's working there? I'm letting that primer kind of work to my advantage. Alright, that's the goal. So just let the primer work to my advantage, defining those volumes. Just like that. And then what we can do is we can come back, we can darken those shadows with more black. This is black and a little bit of Hold Your Blue mixed together. So we're getting some, like a little bit of blue in there, just to add some depth. And then if we go pure black, or we can make a super black, like you can make a super black. You can darken that up, and then you can add in highlights. Obviously I touched these with had something on my fingers. Yeah, Spider Foes, it's about having, you know, more than 6 characters. Like, it's not a lot of characters. There's lots of different versions of the Sinister Six, and point cost considerations, right? Here you got 6 characters at 17 threat. You want to make sure that everybody still is at the power level, so things like that. Flexibility, yeah. Strict nose. Okay, I can darken up, keep darkening up my shadows and my whites. Made a little bit of a mess over here on these hip panels. That's alright, I'll clean those up as the paint dries. Painting on stream is much harder than painting in real life. There's like 11 iterations of the Sinister Six, so if you ask anybody like, well, what's sensor 6? Like, everybody's going to give you a different answer. So it makes more sense from a flexibility and design to have spider feathers. So a little touch of blue added to that gray will make some nice shadows, especially when we go to put the magenta in our costume. Like the magenta and blue will play against each other very nicely. So I just want to add just a little touch there. That's just thinking about some, pretty basic color theory. Nothing complex. Everybody's throwing out their... Well, all the studios, we can't really talk about the future, but you never know. We got all kinds of ideas. You never know what the future's gonna hold. We want to make all kinds of stuff. So it's adding a lot of depth to that white. And that's what I really want. I want a lot of depth to the white. White is very easy to make look plain. So, and if you look at white in real life, white is just all colors reflecting back. So if you look at like a white wall or white card, there's always a bunch of colors in there. So that's what you want to, your goal. You don't have to, but if you were so compelled, like, it's how you get that more rich and full white when you're painting miniatures, to get a little more color in there, right? And these blues and grays. There we go. And like typically, I'm painting for, this is not a studio miniature, this is for me, for fun, so I'm not really worried about perfect. Just having a good time hanging out, talking paint. So I'm not super worried about perfect. I'm more worried about just having fun and getting artsy. So I'm coming back in with that sandy color and tightening up the whites. Let's see. Zoom in a little bit. No, not quite. There we go. Yeah, highlights. Akunagi highlights. That is one of the most typical things whenever I talk to people and teach classes and I give critiques on people's painting. It's typically people are afraid to go too far on the highlights, and in reality it's almost impossible to go to. Now you can blow them out where the highlights are just too big, but you really have to like bring it up and just, you can really kick up highlights on miniatures. What was that? Are the white portions lined? No, this is all, there's line. It's lined. And it's one of those ones, like, you have such a delicate costume, so there's considerations to be made in that. Like, if we made them really mega deep, it looks like they're being cut into them. I think that that's something, you know, we have to consider a lot, is if you make on these superheroes, right, if you make a inset line really deep on the costume, it looks more like it's being carved into their flesh, and it looks very awkward. And so it's striking a balance between, you know, a line that's good and a line that looks good. You know, that's our goal. Alright, we can see, I'll post her up on, I'll post both these up on social media, probably on Twitter or Facebook, and you can see when I'm done. I'm just using that second brush to kind of soften the edge. I'm not really blending, just want to soften that edge just a little bit. I don't like that line, I just erased it. Chewy, I'll let Chick answer that, but I will say Marvel's been super spectacular to work with and very open to our ideas and what we do. Alright, you can see how that off-white now, coming back with that off-white, really bringing it together. There you go, 6 in there. We actually, Fall of Blood, we actually pick the virgins typically. That's usually Chick and I usually discuss that. It'll be like, alright, well, you know, this Spider-Man or this, you know, this Punisher, well, what's the costume look like? Alright, well, this. Oh, what if we do this, right? And then I look at it from like a sculpting, and then I get Marco and Evan to help me look at it from an engineering perspective, because we gotta look at the engineering, stuff like that. So we really, you know, we gotta look at a lot of that kind of stuff too, right? It's not just this costume. It's okay, well, we need to make it too. or anymore, we're just like, oh my, we can just make it. Because we are figuring out some really cool stuff. Alright, I'm going to switch back to Miles. We got that blue on there. I want to deepen that up by adding some black to the blue. And I'm going to start darkening his costume up. Our goal here is to bring this black up as a glaze and let just a little bit of that blue shine through. Right? So I can do that several ways. I like to come in right on that top edge with a damp brush and soften it over. And I can come in from the other side and do the same thing. Like there, I just kind of just threw a wash on there. And this is not a pre-made wash. This is I just took black paint and blue paint and mixed them together with a little bit of water, and I'm just painting it on. Saw somebody earlier, and I want a little bit of that blue shining through, right? Because I want that little bit of depth in the blue, right? It's very important. I don't want it just flat black. Great for motorcycles, not great for suits. Looks very lifeless if you do that. So I'm gonna go ahead and paint his eyes, and then I'll come back and catch those later. I want that life in that suit. And I might do this like twice, you know, I might put this layer of black on twice to really darken it. Like right now this is kind of going over everything evenly, but I might do it again where I focus more on the underside. You know, because once again, it's just I'm trying to bring life into it. I saw somebody earlier say best sculpt in the game. Referring to Mr. Spider-Man here, Miles Morales. I love this sculpt. I think he's so cool. This was definitely early, and us being like, you know, what can we do with the material available to us, right? Hard plastic offers certain properties and things that we can do. Every material has, you know, what they can and can't do. So I really personally want to take advantage of what plastic can do. So working with our partners and working with our sculptors and working with Marco and Evan, it's, you know, okay, so what can we do? Where can we take this? What did we learn from this last project? How can we apply it to another project? And how do we push it? How do we make it more? So, whereas like this guy's super dynamic and I love him and I will always love him, like we're doing other stuff that's dynamic now. And I think you're going to see those and really get excited about them when we're able to show them. Chris, I missed that. Sorry, I was painting and talking. What was the blue underpaint? It's Hold Your Blue. It's just a light glaze of Hold Your Blue over a Zenithal Prime. And then I added some black to the Hold Your Blue, and I'm doing it over that. And then while that's drying, I'll go back to, you know what? Let's put a coat on the little newspaper box. This is right here. Jordan Turquoise. Good enough. It's a very light blue. We'll just do a coat on the newspaper box. And I'll mix a little holes of blue in there to kind of bring it down. Just like that. This will be a good starting point for this little newspaper box. I think this will make a nice mid-tone. I'll bring in some primary blue in there too here in a little bit. Maybe. I could also kind of do the same thing here with see, I'm painting this just thin enough. There's the top where it was more white is lighter, and then as you go down it's a little darker, right? Darth Raven, yeah, of course, purple would work. It's, you know, our philosophy, my philosophy is I'm not trying to tell you what to paint. I want to teach you how to paint. So it's not about recipes. It's about applications, right? I can tell you a recipe. I can give you a recipe for something, and if you don't know why it's doing it, then you might not ever get it, and you won't understand why you're doing it. So our goal is to teach you how to paint. Like, so if a lot of these colors are interchangeable, it's about the thought process more than the recipe. So if you want to add purple, you could do green. It'll give you a different feel, right, to your Spider-Man. But you could do a green. But purples, blue, you could do a magenta. You're just looking to add some depth to that black. You want life in that black, right? Yeah, my Venom is periwinkle. I made periwinkle to go on my Venom. Oh, I have the blue tech. Go back to blue. Like it's all about learning to explore your own voice and being happy with what you can do. Not necessarily replicating anything, you know? Like, get in there and paint. You can do all kinds of crazy stuff with paint. You can, you know, paint Venom with periwinkles. You can paint him with oranges and yellows to make him look like he's in the dark and night. There's, you know, it's limitless. So, you know, our philosophy, like I said, is kind of how, not what. Like, it's, you know, you can get in there and experiment with some different colors and try some things out. Really just have fun. Got like a little design on the back of the costume here. Stay in the inset lines. Whoop. Gamers Go, the hand attached to the mailbox on the sprue or glued on. The hand on the mailbox is part of the mailbox. So it's arm and torso, leg. Is that right? I showed the frame. Now I can't remember. Now it's going to bother me. Do I still have one of these? I don't even know if I still have one of these. Where's it at? Where's it at? Where's it at? Where's it at? Got it. Like that's smiles. So you can see arm, torso, leg, mailbox. The mailbox has the hand on it. Like he's four parts, and Gwen is 6. What do you mean, chick? So many ways that could go wrong. I know what is all over there. I got this. I got this. I knew exactly what I was grabbing. People got a lot of trust. Yeah, they're a lot of fun to build. Like I said, we're always striving to, develop new techniques, develop new, designs. We strive to always learn lessons from what we've done in the past and be better. Like that's just a Atomic Mass philosophy. So will they always be 4 pieces like I said earlier? No. But if they can be, they will be. Some characters just can't be. Once you learn, especially once you start learning, if you learn about plastic production, there's just certain things that just has to be taken into consideration. That is different from any other material. So we got some very smart people working with us, and they are, they're on the journey with us to just keep pushing and growing and learning cool stuff. All right, let's take a little magenta, and we'll thin that down. Just a little thin magenta, and I'm going to put it right in these little spider webs. Just like that. And under her hood. Now this is always tricky because you guys are trying to see, but I'm trying to see. Yeah, see, I would flip her upside down if I wasn't on camera. Alright, I might have to do that off camera. Sorry. Why does the webbing terrify you? Like you just throw a little wash on there, and then just a little highlight. You're done. It's magenta. it's on my wet palette. Sorry. Sorry, Fall Blood. Just a good magenta, very thin, over white. Just got a bunch of paints out on my palette before I started instead of having to dig through paints. So I want a little bit of magenta around her eyes. So this means I'll probably have to repaint the eyes a little bit. I just want that little bit of magenta. Just using the tip of the brush. I'm not trying to rush. Just like so. Nah, you'll be fine. Messing up is just part of that's just part of the process. You can't mess up if you're having fun. Let's be real. Like, you can't mess up if you're having fun. I was told I can show this though. Speaking of webs. Oh, not that one. Oh, too late. I grabbed the wrong one. That was the wrong one. Sorry, Josh. I did grab the wrong one. Well, you saw it. Tony Crawford, what color white did I use? It's just a good bunch of grays and off-whites mixed together. And then I use more grays to shade it. Yep, I just grabbed the wrong one. So there you can see Web Warriors all webbed up. Really cool art. Dun, 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 dun. Spider-Man. Has some villains back there. I was supposed to show Web Barrier and I grabbed the wrong card. I'm the worst. I'm waiting. Is my phone ringing yet? Hang on. Oh, did Josh text me? No, he didn't. Josh is gonna be so mad at me. I mean, I did say you could trust me, and then I totally ruined my trust, so. I didn't spoil everything, I just showed the art, which I showed last time too, so, see? I didn't flip it around. I grabbed the wrong card, I'm the worst. I'm the worst. Simone says spoil all things. I mean, Simone permission is ultimate permission, so I mean, Josh isn't saying anything to override that. I don't even know how to act now. I'm just going to go back to painting, obviously. Before I get in trouble. I'm going to get in trouble. I know Josh isn't saying anything. He's not coming to my rescue or even like admonishing me. Which is worse. So I'm just darkening the black more. Once again, this still has some bullet. And then I'll be able to go back and I'll highlight the black. Silence is compliance. I don't know about that. Let's go back to Miles. Let's go back to Spider-Man. He's the leader of the Web Warriors, so he'll make me feel better. So once again, I'm going back with that. This is the almost pure black now. Now I'm just going to darken up the shadows. So we're almost out of time. So if you got any questions, now's the time. And no, I'm not spoiling anything else. I already ruined it. I'm never going to be allowed to spoil anything again. Josh is going to pull my privileges. So I'm just darkening this up. So that's just, seeing by darkening this up, it actually makes the blue more vivid, more alive, and more dominant. And then next week we'll paint his little webs. So what I'm doing is I'm putting a little bit of paint in between or in the webs, and I'm using that damp brush to kind of tap it to where it's coming off the top of the webbing and settling. So you're getting a little bit of that blue in between. Whoops, dropped my brush. And I'm off camera. Alright, I'm going to answer some questions. We got 5 more minutes. What do we got here? We don't come here for the spoilers. Thank you, Tim. We're here for the painting and the camaraderie. I think you mentioned it before. Tim asked, I think you mentioned it before, but why is the web pattern raised on this model but recessed on Peter? So that's a good question. So on Peter Parker, his costume is literally covered in the web pattern. I would grab my Spider-Man, but he's actually at work. But he has much more, and because it's a red costume, it's much easier to paint if those are recessed, because you can, what I do is I wash my Peter Parker Spider-Man in a blue. You could also do like a black or a gray, and that way it darkens up those lines, and then you can wash in a red, and then the red will stay dark, or the red will stay red, and then the dark lines come through. With this, you have red lines, so you can't really wash the red lines on, right? If you had to paint those little black lines all over Spider-Man, it'd be very tedious. It's very easy to do with a wash. But with this, if it's red lines, it'd be very hard to do a black and then a red wash. There's just no way. You could do a whitewash over it, but then you're just messing up your black. So and then you can paint the black in between. That's too hard. So it's much easier for something like this with a very small amount of webbing. You can just go in and paint the red. Much easier, much easier. That's why these are. Yeah, we do spoil you with spoilers. It's true. It's true. We do. How do you paint eyes? Do you do then X step? What? I don't know what that is. What was the choice of making Miles the leader of the Web Warriors? That's a good shit question, but I'm happy to kind of give it a go. The Peter Parker in the core box is the starter box is like our version of like young Peter Parker, and Peter's never really wanted to be a leader role. Like he's always kind of pushed off, and like Schick will probably tell me the title and issue number where Peter gives over the, tells Miles, you're the leader, like you have it in you, you're the leader. So that's kind of the short and skinny of the why is Miles the leader. Peter Parker, the core box Peter Parker, that's our young Peter Parker. He hasn't quite developed his powers and understanding yet, right? That's our take on a very young Peter Parker. So that's kind of the base philosophy there. Yeah, it's the same reason he's not Avenger, right? This is not that Spider-Man, right? There's when you talk about Spider-Man and his depth of character, like, this is one of our favorite characters. This is one of my favorite characters. Definitely one of Schick's favorite characters. There's a lot to like explore there with Peter Parker, and so Peter Parker, Spider-Man, is in the star box. He's just young. He's the young Peter Parker. Oh, Josh is in there. Look at him. So, we started our Ghost Spider, which is looking pretty good. I'm pretty happy with her. The white pretty much was, remember, it was just an off-white, because with white, the philosophy is you don't want pure white. Let's get rid of that. You don't want pure white, right? See what that does? It's just very bright on that dome. You want an off-white. Look at anything in nature that you go, oh, that's painted white. But break it down in your eyes, and you'll see that there's blues or grays, like this white wall behind me, right? There's blues, it's an off-white, there's these grays, there's these greens and yellows. So you can bring that into the miniature, and you start with an off-white, and you can go down into like a blue or gray for a shadow to darken it, and then you finish with just a little bit of your titanium white, the pure white. And that's what really makes it look white. And then with black, you want a little bit of color in there, but then you want to push it down into that pure black, or you can make a super black by adding a turquoise and a blue to your black, especially inks. I may be working on some content that has to do with a lot of using ink. I love inks. I think they're super useful. So you like bring it down and you like really richen the black and put some color in there. It may not be very obvious, but your eye reads it. And then you finish off with like a little highlight of like blue or gray, depending on what you want. And the sharper the highlight on your black, the more reflective, which is kind of the philosophy of everything. The sharper the highlight, the more reflective. The broader the highlight, the softer the material, or less reflective of the material. So with our Spider-Man Miles here, I wanted that blue, and I used that Zenith to like provide me with some volume. I use that blue to like define that, and I'm using that black to like richen up those shadows and really push that volume down. And then I'll finish off, and because that Zenith is in there, I'll have that step, and I'll know exactly where the high point of my volume is, and I can lay highlights in there to bring it up, and then I'll have my full spectrum. Same way with the white, right? Spider-Geddon, that's what I'm referring to. Yeah. With the Miles and the Peter Parker. Like sometimes you gotta look at like what our intent is, and like these are the best way to find out what our intent is the live stream every Tuesday with Schick, every Thursday with me. Come in and ask questions, And it's much easier for us to give you that intent while we're painting and have these discussions with you. So that's kind of the intent behind that Peter Parker and Miles Morales, right? Look at what the intent is and what the design idea is behind it. Final questions. Yeah, Dizard just started using inks. Inks are amazing. Love them. Love inks. Yeah, that's it. So I'm going to finish up the blacks on these, and then I'll probably do the final highlights on the white on Ghost Spider. And then next Thursday, I'll be painting the webs, painting some eyes on them, and doing the final touches on the highlights of the blacks. And then next Tuesday, I don't know what Schick has planned. I know he started his Green Goblin. It looked really, really good. I think is this the month of spiders? Is this the spider month? It's going to be great. But yeah, we also went ahead and we picked our favorites from the hashtag painting protocols, which was texture. Super lots of entries. It was great looking at everybody's. It was kind of hard to pick. I picked mine, and I believe we're going to be showing those off next week. Super excited to show those off. And remember, this month is hashtag painting protocol Black Order. We want to see your Black Order, even if it's the throne. I want to see your throne. I love the throne. I want to see your throne. You should just show me your throne, anyways. Whatever. It's dope. More Green Goblin definitely next Tuesday from Mr. William Schick. So show us your Black Order. Show us your Proxima. Show us your Corvus. Show us your Ebony Maw and your Black Dwarf and your throne and your Gauntlet. So I think that's it. Spider Month. Hashtag painting protocol Black Order Month. Stay safe. Be the hero. We can all be. What's the line? Oh, anyone can wear the mask. Peace, guys. Bye. Dun 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 dun. Starting the music before I hit the button. There's the things to go see. The things that we do. We do the things on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook. I'll catch you later. Meow.